Thanksgiving is here, and the end of the year is upon us. Therefore, our sincere thanks in the Lord for all the encouragement, correction, and many gentle nudges of appreciation. Some kept this program in the straight and narrow, while the others shared their hearts and material in thanks. Once again, thank you in the Lord. Nevertheless, this is a good time for some housekeeping. MailChimp had its statistics some while back stating that only 30 to 35% of a targeted Christian audience respond to any online media, which means 75% of the audience bombarded with Christian content is either uninterested or have other channels of information. Therefore, in preparation for the new year, it is time once again to let your mind known. If you desire to continue receiving updates about this podcast, let us know through WhatsApp indicating your mind. On the other hand, if you do not desire to receive any updates, you don't have to do anything. Your silence will be accepted as your intent to leave, and we will desist from sending any updates. This will save all from unwanted spam. You have time till the end of December to decide. Now, on to today's podcast. You are listening to the Christian podcast Manna in Hebrew. What is it? Welcome. Matthew chapter 25 verse 39. And they did not understand until the flood came and took them away. So will the coming of the Son of Man be. The second coming of the Lord is the only true enduring reality. The present things are going to drastically change at His coming. Therefore, what kind of a life should we live? We who desire to live in the next age. As a continuation to last week's podcast, this podcast starts, Therefore, to what purpose? Therefore, to what purpose is your eating, drinking, marrying, and giving into marriage, building, buying, and selling, and this unceasing desire for the things of this earth? Are you an understanding man like Noah, or are you like the foolish people of his age? This is what the Lord is asking through that verse. Or will the Lord say about us, they did not understand until? Any breathing Christian therefore must prepare for two surprising events. Number one, either death will meet him first, or else Christ will meet him first. The savior of these two is the second coming of Christ. One cannot miss death, but one can miss the second coming. There is no way of ameliorating the suffering if one misses the second coming of Christ. Either you are in the clouds with Him or miserable here on earth. Therefore, one has only a binary choice. Either you are prepared or you are not. Death can be postponed or even delayed by modern medicine and other means, but not the second coming. So to what purpose is your eating, drinking, marrying, and giving into marriage, building, buying, and selling? This is what the Lord is asking through these verses. Are you deep-rooted as a plant in this world system to the point where eating, drinking, partying, enjoying, and being entertained, marrying, giving into marriage, building, buying, and selling, and a host of other things that are probably sinless but worldly characterizes your life? Or do you fancy the cult of personality that dominates the political, sports, media, church, and educational environment to the point where your master is eclipsed and not to be found? Are you over-invested here on earth? If you cannot give a solid answer to the following questions, you may be, emphasis on maybe, heavily invested here on earth. Here are the questions. In what way are you eating and drinking for the kingdom of God? Are you married for the kingdom of God? If so, how would you reason it in your mind? What are you building for the kingdom of God? Do you have any treasures in heaven? If so, do you have any idea of its accounting? How often have you thought about it? Have you made a purposeful effort not to store treasures on earth while purposefully storing treasures in heaven, as in Matthew 6:19 and 20? If so, instead of talking about bank accounts, stocks, and 401k to your spouse and children, how many times have you talked about your heavenly treasures to them? How have your heavenly treasures comforted you in the loss of your earthly treasure? How often have you sit down with your spouse and try to account for the treasures in heaven just as you account or budget your earthly life. Are the treasures of God an ethereal principle and the accounting of it an impractical matter? If so, chances are you are very much invested in this world. Of course, a precise accounting is impractical, but an accounting enough to put your heart in heaven is very possible. Matthew 6:21. Jesus taught his disciples that the people in the days of Noah were heavily invested here on earth. They couldn't think, in a sense was clueless, of life independent of their homes, wives, businesses, and things. Therefore, they were unwilling to get into the ark, leaving their homes, wives, businesses, and things. They did not understand the times because they were not willing to leave what they had. This is very much the issue today. Many want to be with Jesus, but only some want to leave everything to be with him. This matter will resolve the question of your place in the rapture. You are listening to the Christian podcast Manna in Hebrew. What is it? You can find us at YouTube, iTunes, and Google Play. Till next, God bless. Bye-bye.